fancy displays.
Yes, I love it.
Doctor
I
Strange,
love what you've done with the
Deathstroke.
place.
Basically the same character.
Basically the same in your heart.
Amy,
All
are you about to up?
right.
We're live.
Yes, I am completely ready. Hey guys, I'm Amy.
And I'm Paul.
And welcome to the Comics Hall. I know we're back on a Wednesday. Crazy. Last time you guys saw us, it was Monday. No new comics happened on Monday. So what was going on there? It is Wednesday, August 18th. I almost said it was October. It is not October. It is August 18th. We are in the middle of our Comics Hall takeover. It is day 3. Hope you're not sick of us yet because we've got a whole week of stuff coming your way. We've got a great show lined up for you today. First of all, I won't forget this time we've got moderator Rob producing. Also, we've got him in the chat. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to shout those out. Paul and I can also see those going on. We've got news for you. We've got fun discussions. But most importantly, we've got a really exciting interview coming up in just a little bit. Paul, do we want to still save the guest or do we want to tell them now? Tell them what they're in for?
Yeah, we could tell them now. We can tell them now. Yeah. You know what? No. Let's save it. Let's save it.
Okay.
Yeah. It is, I will say it's someone who is integral to the comic book creation process that I believe from a studio that we both love. And we would really love to put on everyone's radar. And he is gracious enough to give us just a brief moment of his time. It's Wednesday. He's busy. He's so busy. But
making the new comics.
Enough vamping. I was trying to think of a Vampire the Masquerade joke. It didn't work. It didn't work.
No, that didn't work. We do have a couple of brief pieces of news for you guys up top real quick. So since Monday, since all the exciting news we had on Monday, we've had a couple new developments. First of all, Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman have announced a new imprint called KLC, Kids Love Chains, and they are joining Substack Inc. to produce new comics like Vanish, which is going to be a creator-owned title about magic and superheroes. We do have a piece of preview art that they shared in their Substack newsletter. So if you are a kid who loves chains or you love comics or you're one of the devil's advocates, you're going to want to check that out. There's more information on their Twitter going on with that whole series, but that'll be fun to see Cates and Stegman back in the saddle with a book that is other than Venom this time.
Yeah, very interesting. The guy that's directly to the left of you looks like a mix of Red Robin, Superman, and Gambit.
Okay, yeah. I can see that.
I have no idea what his powers are, but that's what it looks like to me.
Well, it'll be magic and superheroes.
Magic and superheroes. We're here for it. And next, this is a bigger bit of news here. So DC Universe's superheroes will be featured in several upcoming webcomic series through a new deal between Warner Media's DC Entertainment and Webtoon. Yeah, that's right, the Webtoon. Under the agreement, DC and Webtoon will collaborate on standalone webcomics that will appeal to all fans, which of course, I mean, Webtoons is great with that. So adding DC into the mix is incredible. So it will appeal to all fans and without the need to know or read any previous stories, so that fits in perfectly to the AIM system that we've got running here, and that is according to both of those particular companies. Now, for now, however, DC and Webtoon aren't divulging any other details about the projects that are emerging out of this new deal. The companies plan to announce more in the next few weeks. The DC webcomics, will first be available in English, followed by other language translations later on in the year. I'm sure we'll get some more information with DC Fandom, which is coming up pretty soon as well. So stay tuned. If you're a Webtoons fan, there's a lot of great content coming.
Yeah, and that should be a really interesting, as you mentioned, Paul, with AIM, the accessibility factor of a comic book is key, and that will probably be as accessible as humanly possible for all these big name comic characters. So that'll be really fun. I look forward to seeing how they might change their formatting, you know, how Webtoon kind of has that mobile scroll ability, so I wonder how we're going to be seeing the formatting changes.
Yeah, that'll be good. I mean, it can only be beneficial. And again, I love that for some reason, I feel like Jim Lee has to keep coming out and saying, like, comics are fine. Very clearly, they're fine, everyone.
Every 5 minutes, somebody thinks that comics are ending, but if the stack that I have yet to read in my bedroom is any indication, comics are not slowing down anytime soon.
Not by any means. No, don't tell my wallet that, please. All right, well, that's all the news that we had. It was a really, really quick news segment because we are so excited to get into our interview.
Yes.
I think we're ready.
All right, are you guys ready, though? That's the important question.
All right, everyone. So please welcome the, according to their website, dubbed the Encyclopedia. Hey, we've got one of those as well. The Encyclopedia. It is Mr. Chris Sanchez, the editor-in-chief for Mad Cave Studios. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Thanks
thanks
for
for
being
joining us,
here.
man. I didn't have any
Sure.
fireworks or anything. I was working on the intro. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe next time you'll be better.
Next time.
There's always next time.
Always room to improve here on the
Mhm.
Comics Hall. But thank you so much. This is so exciting. Now, just a reminder for you guys out in the chats, if this is your first Comics Hall show, welcome. But if you've been here, you guys have seen us cover Mad Cave titles before. We've talked about Stargazer. We've talked about Villainous. One of my personal favorites from your guys' publishing line is Show's End, and I'm hoping that there will be more someday soon. But then there was also Bountiful Garden, which was just available for Free Comic Book Day. And I saw a couple people in our local Comic Society Facebook group did make sure to pick up that issue this past Saturday.
Yeah, we've had a lot of books too, in Nottingham as well. We have people in our group who've been really digging on that book as well, man. You guys are doing great work.
No, we appreciate all the kind words, really. We saw that this year, especially with Nottingham and with Bountiful Garden and stuff like that, that people have been gravitating towards us more, and we can't be more thankful for that stuff. Like, I really, really appreciate anyone taking the chance on indie comics, because I think they're the best comics.
Yeah, and one of the things we like to talk about on this show, we have we don't like to give like number ratings when we talk about books, because numbers are scary for us, but also so easily can be changed or misconstrued. So we have our AIM system, which talks about the accessibility of a book, the interest or who would like it, and then M, the monetary value or the money that you have to spend on a book. And accessibility, independent comics have been one of those biggest resources, because you don't have to go through tons and tons and tons of renumberings and republishings and different creative teams to get the story that you want to read.
No, yeah, that's, I think, a big part of what makes indie comics, that you can just go to a store and pick up like the first volume of something and be like, oh, this is the first volume of something.
Yep.
And you can actually get another thing of like getting conclusions, which is like one thing that like, is huge. Like, you want that ending and you're like, oh, okay, this is the ending, and this is great. I love stuff that just ends. I was like, please just give me something that ends.
I have extreme respect for people who get in, get out, and they say, that's the story we meant to tell. And then you're done. Now, Chris, do you want to introduce yourself? Like, tell the audience a little bit about what you do as editor-in-chief. I mean, that's a big title.
It is a very big title that I still find weird saying sometimes. Like, when I introduce myself, it's just like, oh yeah, I'm an editor. It's very weird, but I'm editor-in-chief. But no, yeah, I am the editor-in-chief at Mad Cave Studios. What that basically means is I am in charge of the production of all of the books that we do. So any single issue.
No pressure, right?
Yeah, no pressure, no pressure. It doesn't mean like I'm directly working, but like I get oversight on books. I manage other editors. If for both the Mad Cave line and the Maverick line, which is a YA imprint that is actually the first book of that, Needle and Thread, will be out next month. Which
nice.
Just
that's what it's on your shirt there as well, right?
It is. Yeah, I pulled out the wrong.
There you go.
The video is reversed, and it's very weird.
Wherever you want to go the opposite.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, Maverick. Yeah, it's our YA imprint. The first book of that, is this September. I'm super excited for people to read it. We've been getting some like reviews for like people that we sent out like advanced reader copies, and like people really like it. And it's like, oh, cool. It's good. The stuff that I've been working on for like 2 years is finally out.
And that must be so hard, knowing what's coming down the pipe and not being able to always...
yeah.
I mean, we're not going to ask you anything here, but...
Oh, yeah. Another thing about being editors, especially in comics, is like, oh, I know what's coming out in 2023, which is ridiculous.
That doesn't even sound like a real like number. Like,
no,
that's a future us problem.
It's ridiculous. Like, oh, I have to do notes on this for like 2023. Sure, whatever.
Well, we're getting some love in the chats. We've got J Linda HJ says, I picked up Bountiful Garden. Can't wait to read it. So that was the free comic book day release.
Right. Yes.
Adriana Gonzalez says Nottingham is amazing. And then Tenchi Misaki says Battle Cats, yo. Battle Cats. That about sums it up.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Battle Cats, yo. So I'm always curious specifically. I don't know how involved you were with the decision to, create Maverick or sort of maybe create an imprint. But like, when do, like, as an editor in chief, I mean, again, you've already worked on. Hey, we were just talking about
hey,
you.
Justin.
Hey, Justin.
Hey,
He's
Justin.
everywhere.
Welcome back, man.
Welcome back.
So for instance, like Needle and Thread, you obviously, I'm sure, got to do that voodoo that you do on that book as well. So like, does your brain switch between, like, do you have sort of like your Mad Cave editor-in-chief hat and then you got to put on your Maverick editor-in-chief hat? Do you sort of approach those differently?
Yeah. So when we first started doing Maverick, or like the beginning process of that, I wasn't an editor, but I was brought into those meetings as sort of like the person who read a lot of YA in the office, and I was like, oh, hey, just like, what's this? And with those meetings, it's like, oh, hey, you could do this. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure. Whatever you say, Mark. Whatever you say, boss man. I could totally do this. And it's like, oh, here, edit 5 graphic novels. I was like, oh, great. Awesome. Thanks, dude.
No pressure.
Really appreciate it. And it's definitely a switch. It's something that like I enjoy a lot of YA fiction in my own like personal life. That's just
right.
What I love reading. Like, not that I don't like love but also if it's just something like, oh, high school kids just having fun, drama. I'm like, oh, that's my shit. Like,
there's something just real joyful about getting to kind of go into that.
Real joyful and real stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, that's, I think, more natural to me. But even still, like stuff that I've done for Mad Cave, like Terminal Punks, that is just ridiculous and fun and gory and messy, and just like, okay, I still find my joy there. And just it's more, I guess, it's less about, I tend to be more, I guess, in my editorial process, more focused on like, oh, do these characters work in this world that you've set up, and less more like, what's the plot here? I tend to be more like, hey, what's this world, and what are these characters, and what do we want to make them do?
Okay,
right.
Like the world building aspect.
Yeah, not so much world building, because there is some like I also come from D&D, and there's like some world building stuff that I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna write a Silmarillion. I'm okay.
So are you like the continuities are?
Yeah. I'm more like, does this make sense for the world that you want to do? If it does, let's fucking go for it, or let's go for it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's got to be so interesting. One of the things that we've talked about is like when you have different artists who maybe work for the big two, and then they also are doing indie stuff. But even you, in being an editor in chief, like, it's like your brain is constantly in 7 different worlds. Oh, constantly.
That's, I think, more the hard part of like not so much Maverick and Maverick, more just like, oh, I have 11 different projects I'm currently on, like directly on. Yeah. And that's not to mention like the ones that I'm just like overseeing and doing like approvals for. Like currently, I think back and we have like over 20 books in production, which is ridiculous.
Wow.
And wow, like, that's awesome.
I mean, it's cool. I love it, and it's great. But it's also like, oh, cool. I have to turn my. What was this one again?
Because you have to go from like horror to like fantasy to sci-fi to cyberpunk type. Like you have to jump across genres, even just under one umbrella.
Yeah, and yeah, like earlier this year when we were doing production on the anthology, the Grim Tales from the Cave that's coming out in October, that almost broke me. Of just like, oh, cool, we have 11 different teams on this. I am like doing like directly dealing with 5 of them.
Wow.
So I have to, and then I also have to do like lettering. I have to like do production stuff for this. Justin, who's in chat, was an MVP of that book. Just every day, just being like, Justin, please letter this. I need this.
We've also got Micah Myers in the chat.
Mika as well, who also did a couple stories in the thing of just like letters that just like, please, I need this lettered. I don't have colors. I'll have those like 2 weeks from the print date. Please, can you get this?
We are always always advocating for. I mean, seriously, every part of the comic book process is integral, but like, don't sleep on letterers, you guys. Like, that is hugely important. And that's fun because with an anthology project, you've even got, while it's all under the same kind of umbrella of a theme, like you said, so many different teams tackling the subject matter in different approaches.
Yeah, and even just like under the umbrella of horror, there's so much to do there that's not just like a slasher flick. It's like you have like adventure horror type scenarios and just like more clinical stuff. And it's really cool to see like people's different take on like a single genre. That was something that I was like really like, oh, is this really horror? And then you think about it, it's like, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Don't think too hard about horror. You might give yourself some goosebumps. Now it's funny because you kind of answered half of this question about how your work helps further the mission, but like what is the goal of Mad Cave Studios? What is your guys' mission in the independent publishing space? I mean, it's very difficult out there to be able to I guess market and say like, hey, we have all these different titles, as opposed to going like, we've got the superheroes you guys know and love. Like, you have to really kind of have those stories. What is your guys' overall? Sorry, I kind of got away from it there, but
no, you're good. I think at the end of the day, it's always to provide creators with the opportunity to tell a story that is either fun or engaging or like interesting. I always find that as long as we make something interesting, people will find it. You know,
if you build it, they will come.
I'm more interested in, at least on the production side of things, to make stuff that is like fun and interesting and just like there have something different there. You know, it's very hard to do with like how many millions of stories have already been told, but like with the creators that are coming up and just working with people and just being like, oh, this is awesome, you took this in a road I did not expect, or crazy, and it's very cool to give people that opportunity. I don't know if that was a direct mission statement. It's like,
no, I'm looking at the website. That's word for word.
That's it. On the website, it's very much copywriter.
They paraphrase what Chris is saying.
Yeah, but just paraphrase what I'd say. Sure, totally.
You know, me and Amy were talking before the show, and I love this one line that you guys have, and that it's, Mad Cave is more than a publisher. It's an experience. So I really love that that particularly, because you guys have sort of done a really great job of tackling like a very specific part of either pop culture or the world, and allowing like your creators who maybe come from that world or who are more experienced in it to sort of breathe within there. And so like, if you could, like, I mean, what would you consider to be the capital like E experience that you would say Mad Cave is?
So I think a lot of this comes down to creators telling, like you said, like they come from that world, and a lot of that is in Maverick, like we say, like reading yourself in the pages, because I think a lot of what Maverick is like stories that they grew up with, either like stories that they've heard through friends, or like what they experienced, and taking those stories and sort of like, you know, not dramatizing them, but putting them on paper and just being real with people. And I think that's an experience, like, I think that's an experience that all of us can share in, and just like seeing either yourself or just seeing this crazy scenario that you think won't happen or will happen to you, or you just thought about or just dreamt of. And it's that's what I think when we're talking about like experience of like just like the human experience of like of like who we are, and to like people growing up and what your dreams are and stuff like that. I feel like that's sort of the way. Mark might have a different answer to that, but that's what I got.
He's not here right now, and you are.
No pressure. You're just representing the entire brand.
But you're right. Like that representation is so important, and that's why I think it's so awesome that you guys are able to then you've had success and you found audiences for the Mad Cave titles, and then that you are able to take it to Maverick, because I know that popular thought is changing, but the fact that so many people were like, oh, like comics aren't real books, or like that is an absolute lie, get that garbage out of here. But like the fact that these books are becoming more and more accessible to readers of all ages, and that there's such a wealth and diversity in the storytelling that is being presented, with like queer representation and just the people behind the scenes as well. So it's really great to see that evolving and seeing the creators that you guys are able to work with and the stories you're able to put out. And another part of the experience of Mad Cave that I really love is your guys' showcases and the streams that you guys do, because it feels like you guys are, in my mind, one of the publishers that interacts the most with people through those types of multimedia experiences and doing the live draws and having those really cool showcases where you can say, like, here's our like a visual version of our previews catalog coming up for the year. Like I love that.
Yeah, no, that was an idea we had. I think that was a pandemic idea, kind of. It sort of replaced our con experience, because you know, cons were a huge part of how you get face to face with people and connect. And make those just make those connections that you have. Like, you remember people from cons and you're just like, oh, okay, I remember that person, and not just like a random face or a random Twitter post or whatever. And so showcases were something that we developed with Jaslyn Stone, who's just so good at everything.
Such a great hostess.
Just such a great person and good at everything. It really is like, oh, cool, you're just good at everything. Great. Why am I even here?
My heart just sings every time she does the positivity posts on Twitter. Just like,
just so just such a great person for comics. But yeah, we developed that with Jaslyn for showcasing basically like what we were coming up in the year, and just being like a general like good time for our community. I think building community is also another thing that's like huge that we have in the last year or so really built up, and I can't wait to and I always like interact with people. People send me stuff all the time. They're like, this is great, please keep sending me really nice stuff to say. I really keep doing that. But yeah, and then the showcases transitioned into Transmissions, which is like a weekly show that we do now, which I really love. Just like every week, just getting people on and doing, like, we had a live drawing earlier today with the artist from Bountiful Garden.
Oh, awesome.
Kelly. And the host, Jaslyn's she's no longer with us. She passed. But no.
Dude.
Sorry. Just real bad.
Drop that on me real quick.
No. She got busy doing a lot of other stuff for a bunch of different people. She's like one of the busiest people in comics. So we had to transition to a new host, Sage Ryan, but it's still like very cool and very fun. And that we like just that live community aspect from cons, I think, is what we're trying to build and make for our community. And I think it's like a cool way to do it, especially when we're on like fourth wave of pandemic.
Kind of losing track. These reprinting with the variant covers they keep coming out with, just not
keep hitting.
This is all hitting real close to home.
But that's a really smart. That's just a really smart alternative, because keeping that community alive is such a key part of just keeping comics happy and keeping everybody going. Now, personally curious about what was your first experience with comics, or like that kind of that fabulous question. How did you first get into comics? Like, was this something you grew up with, or was it a more recent interest?
So growing up, I actually was into manga first, probably.
Nice. Okay. Any favorites?
I still read One Piece.
Excellent.
I am confined to the fact that I will die with the latest issue of One Piece that's still going.
We'll bury you with it.
It's fine. I appreciate it. But yeah, like that and Bleach and just growing like anime in general. Really huge into that growing up. And then in high school, I got a job and I was like, oh, I can actually go buy comics now because I've been wanting to buy. So I think my first legitimate like comic that I bought was like Y the Last Man.
Oh, okay.
I think
Great
that was
choice.
which is a very weird book to have as like your first comic.
And you stuck with it.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's also like the most like I guess like thing that is similar to like TV and movies and stuff like that. Like those independent sort of old Vertigo stuff that I say old Vertigo like it was.
Me and Amy
pour one out for Vertigo.
Pour one out for Vertigo. Yeah, me and Amy both come from working in comic shops, and so it's interesting, Amy. We were just talking about this. That as soon as people got done reading One Piece, we would immediately recommend Y the Last Man. They're the same book.
They're the same book.
Yeah, right. No, but that's a great book to start on, especially now. Like it's just funny watching this come to fruition. That you start there reading it and pouring through these books, and now it's a major multi-million-dollar show coming out, and like we're in an interesting renaissance for comics right now.
Yeah, it's those graphic novels that are easy for people. Like it's like a TV show. It's easily transferable.
And you can pick up volume 1 and not have to go through.
Yeah, and like I mean, I love my Cape stuff, so I do, but it's definitely it's certain things like I'm there's some stories I'm like, all right, I'm already I come from manga, so I'm not one to talk about a million chapters, but at least they have like 1, 2, whatever chapter. Sometimes it's like okay, like there's a lot here.
But that's the beauty of comics is that like maybe you've read the Superman story before from a different artist, but you're like that's someone's first version of this, and that's
exactly
what we sort of love about Mad Cave specifically is that like again we talk about accessibility and you guys could put out something like Wolvenheart and this is the first experience that someone's had with a book like this, and that's no pressure, but that's the bar that they set like all of these books with. But it's great. We always say like we don't care what you read, how you read, just buy your book, support your local shop, but like go read everything.
And for those of you who are in our chats right now, I know some people are like, I'm going to go browse their website right now, check to make sure that all those words you said about the mission statement are factually correct. But people can actually order directly from you guys as well as through their local stores, correct?
Yeah, that's unique.
Yeah. We set up this store, I think also like probably during the pandemic. I don't know. We did a lot during the pandemic. That's just like just a huge wash of just like
stay productive. Get the books to the people.
And you could totally like because we also found out that some people like don't have a comic shop near them, or there's like like their comic shop near them just doesn't really carry their stuff, and even if they try to pre-order, it just doesn't happen. Like it's something that happens. Just, so we would like to give alternatives and make our, like you said, accessibility. Like try to make it as accessible as possible to whoever wants to read it.
Yeah.
So there you go, comics haulers. That is you'll always have a true number 1 from Mad Cave. That's what we like to call like you can pick this one up with no prior reading needed. So you guys have that accessibility. Just check out their website if any of these titles have interested you. I think did we already flash the graphics or not? I know we
didn't. No. So Rob, if you can bring up the first one, maybe Chris can wrap it
sure.
through. I know he's a little busy, but some of these books that are either available now or will be available very soon.
For sure. So Bountiful Garden, the free comic book day issue, actually just came out of that. I believe the first issue of that is going to be out also in September.
Yeah, I want to say it was either first or second week. I forget exactly.
First or second week of September. I just like the schedule, but the schedule is ridiculous. So some stuff is just like, ooh. But yeah, like kids in space get trapped. Plant monster kind of. It's great. The last session, it's our sort of D&D book, which is my favorite thing. I love it so much.
Very excited about this one.
The creative team is so good on this book. This coming out in December. I think you can pre-order that starting next month.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
I think his November previews just went up
Yes.
around this week, so you guys can look forward to. And we'll be sure to remind you guys on our upcoming episodes of the Comics Hall. I mean, it's Dungeons and Dragons, so I'm going to be talking about it. But when that's available for pre-order, we'll give everybody a little reminder.
It's the cutest thing. I love it so much. It's such a and in Nottingham, we actually just wrapped on that book last month or this month. Not sure. Time is a flat circle. But Nottingham just wrapped the first arc. We are currently in production on the second arc because people really, really love that book. And
Congratulations!
It went to like fifth printing, didn't it?
Yeah, the first issue went to I think fifth printing, and a couple of the other issues went to like 3 or 4. It's people really love that book, and it's
great.
Such a great book.
And that's a medieval noir, right?
Yeah, it's sort of a noir retelling of Robin Hood.
Love it.
We're sort of pitting like the sheriff as like this detective police procedural. It's very, very dark, but also just like very weird. And the art on it is Shane Volk doing like insane stuff. I love it.
The contrast on that cover alone is just that is an eye catcher. Like we always advocate for like, I mean, I guess you do judge comic books by their covers, but it's like always like look inside, see if you're interested. But like that is just a like stops you dead in the middle of looking on the shelf.
And I did just check for everyone. We can pull this off real quick, Rob. Thank you. For everyone out there who is interested in Nottingham, you should be. The first graphic novel, I believe it's Death and Taxes, comes out September 22nd.
Yes.
So you can pre-order it. You can go get it. Trade it, yeah. TPB. You guys all learned these words. We went over like all of these introductory words on Monday, preparing you for Mr. Encyclopedia. How did you get that nickname?
I was just whenever like we would have meetings or anything, they would just be like, "Oh, did you read this book?" So it's like, "Yeah, I read it." Yeah, I read it. Like I would just read a lot, and it's just like, "Oh,
nice."
You're in good company.
Kids, reading is important.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Read all the time.
See, my association with reading is just to get free pizza at Pizza Hut.
I did that as well.
Yeah, man. Whatever gets you reading, I guess.
I know they never tell you that someday you got to read your books and there's no pizza. You have to give yourself the pizza if you want. Oh, good. We got Mika Myers saying, "Order last session, please."
Yes, go do it.
So if you won't take our word for it,
that's the letterer on the book, Mika.
All right.
So Mika has read all the issues, so
it's good.
It's good.
That's
he wouldn't lie to you
guys. Yeah. Well, were there any other titles in that crazy, ridiculous schedule that you want to let people know about? I mean, we're getting a lot of, first of all, people who are reading Mad Cave titles and shouting out their favorites in the comments, but also people who are definitely interested now in checking out. Is there anything else that if they want to hop in on it soon, you'd recommend?
So I would say the anthology we did Grim Tales from the Cave. It's 11 really scary horror stories based on grim fairy tales. No worries. I'm just the book is like a bunch of hands. The cover by Andre Muti. Just the entire team, all the teams just absolutely killed it.
And Moody is a Comics Hall favorite. We've mentioned. It was Bunny Mask and Maniac of New York.
Yes.
Before I love when we get all these names that keep cropping up in different places. And then you guys also in this one, this features not only a couple of stories this has Cullen Bunn in it, but also the winners from your talent search last year, as well as some other names people might know, like Nadia Shamas and Chris Sabella. Tons and tons of people working on this book.
Tons of people worked on that book. Like you said, the talent search people. We currently have a talent search going on. If any of y'all, really want to get your opportunity to, work in comics, get a first step in the door, you can go to our website. It should be all the info's there.
Mm-hmm. It looks like it's madcavestudios.com/talent search.
Which is this time it's a Woven Heart anthology that we're doing sometime next year. So It should be fun. Time traveling, monster slayers, history, all about it.
Heck yeah.
It's got it all. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
awesome,
when you've
man.
got a story with time travel, you're kind of
Yeah, go for
not
it.
constrained by the laws of nature.
No, dude. Do what you want. Go for it. I am very excited to. And that ends, I believe, September 1st.
Mhm.
Oh, thank you.
If you want to get your submissions in, I'm super excited to read all of those. And I am, yeah,
Mhm.
it
So-
should be fun to just
Yeah.
see
2 weeks from
people's
today, everyone.
wild stories.
2 weeks from today, that ends.
So we've definitely had people before in our chats ask about like comic book writing and stuff like that. So if it's something that you've dabbled in or it's something that you are a creative type, there's also art. It's writing and art submissions, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Then you guys, I encourage you to check that out because you guys know that a lot of places don't just take open submissions, but this is a chance to kind of say, hey, like this is what I do.
Yeah.
That's a cool opportunity.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited to see people play in that sandbox and just have fun.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining us, man. We know you're really, really busy, and thank you for taking the time out of your already incredibly busy schedule. But Wednesdays, I'm sure, are nuts even more so. Seriously, man, thank you so much for joining us.
Dude, no, thank you both for inviting me, and thank you for everyone watching. Really excited to like just come here and talk comics.
Yeah.
For people that enjoy comics and like love this stuff, because again, love this stuff.
Yeah, and we very much appreciate Mad Cave keeping us in the loop with things like Bountiful Garden and when these other solicitations are coming up, because it helps us provide the most factual information we can to our audience. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is building the community, and we want to get these books into the hands of people, as many people as possible as well. I think once you've worked in a comic book store or worked in comics behind the scenes, that instinct never quite leaves you. You just want to shove books in people's faces.
Yeah. It's like we recommend, like, do you like Y the Last Man? Read Bleach, or read One Piece.
We'll work on those pitches.
Yeah. We'll leave these ones in the elevator where the pitch lives. So, thank you so very much, Chris, for joining us, man. I'm sure at some point we're really hoping to have you back.
For sure.
You know, spooky season is upon us, so maybe we can come back and talk some horror comics soon.
Oh, dude, that would be awesome.
Great.
All right, Chris. Thank you so much, man. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Later, y'all. Thanks.
Later, man.
Oh my goodness. How exciting.
Chris Sanchez, editor-in-chief for Mad Cave Studios. Again, go to Mad Cave Studios right now. You can check out that talent search. Again, go to your local shop and pre-order Nottingham. The last session is coming out. I believe that book's not coming out until like December. Is that
yeah,
it?
I think he said
but
December.
But the FOC will be probably in like later September or November. But they do such great work, and we really wanted to just bring on Chris and show you guys an entire wing of the comic book process that I was not personally very familiar with, and I was really glad that we got to hang out with him and he got to shed some light on that.
Yeah, and again, if you don't have a local comic store nearby, you can check out Order Mad Cave directly from them. I know that the last time they did their showcase or a transmission, no, I think it was showcase, just a couple back in July, I went ahead and ordered myself a trade for Show's End. I had it on Comixology, but I wanted the physical copy. And they ship directly to you, so you can get some comics there too. And I think they also have like special variants and stuff on their site. So definitely check that out. But we're not done today. We still have a little bit of show left for you guys. So on this beautiful wave of celebrating publishers, we wanted to run through some of our favorite publishers, some of the publishers that we feature a lot on this show, and what you can expect to find at those publishers. So this is kind of like the part 2 of our teaching you guys about different comic book terminology.
Yes.
We wanted to definitely talk about some all the different titles, because there's a ton. There's dozens and dozens out there. There are literally dozens of them. But everyone specializes in something different. And so figuring out what's best for you is a process of getting to know and getting acquainted with these different publishers. Figure Drawing on YouTube says, this has been the most cordial and fun takeover ever. Like I said, it's not a hostile takeover. It's a very, very fun.
It's a lukewarm takeover. Yeah.
It's a tepid takeover.
Thank you. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run through some publishers. We may go a little bit over the hour mark, everyone. Just a heads up. Hang out with us though. We're gonna be talking books. So obviously we've got
Rob says
Marvel.
this is a bloodless coup.
Oh, good. That's fun.
Thank you.
All smotherings. So, of course, you've got Marvel Comics, which I don't know if we necessarily really need to go. Boom! I pulled the old logo for this. I love this
Way
logo.
old logo. I don't think we need to explain Marvel and DC to people, but when you hear the phrase Big Two, that
Yes.
is Marvel and DC, undeniably the largest comic book publishers in the industry. So if you hear Big Two, sometimes you'll hear Big Three, and that also includes Image. But Image differs from Marvel and DC because the books that Marvel and DC produce are based on licensed characters. There's a couple other publishers in this group that have those as well.
Yeah.
But everything else that is from an independent company, more like Mad Cave and some of the others we featured, those are called creator-owned books. So if you hear creator-owned, it is the rights of the writer, artist, any of the co-creators, collaborators on the book. They own that story. They own those characters, and they publish through the publishers. The publishers also have some fun publishing rights. I mean, I don't know all the legal specifics, but Marvel and DC, they are the entities that own their characters, and the people who work and write for them, it's work for hire, and all of those stories are owned by Marvel and DC. So that's just one of those key differences that you guys will hear about that.
Exactly. So everything that Amy just said for Marvel, the same can be said about DC. Of course, you've got DC Comics as well. Boom. Love this logo. That's my favorite version of the DC logo.
I liked the one where it was kind of peeling, the DC peeling back.
That's like
I'm bad at
circa
describing
2010, 2012. Yeah, it looks like a page, like you dog-eared a page on a book or something.
That's exactly
that one's
what
really cool. So we're not really going to get too much into Marvel and DC because, I mean, they are all very specifically licensed characters, as Amy said. You know what they are. You know them. You love them. We're not going to spend much more time. But the next one is Image Comics. Now, Image Comics is very different from Marvel and DC in that a lot of these are creator-owned stories. Now, of course, some huge titles have come out of Image. Specifically, like, of course, you've got Spawn, one of the more...
Savage Dragon.
And then one of the more commercially successful properties, of course, is The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead started in 2003 with Image Comics. And again, I believe is Eric Larson still... He's who's drawn Savage Dragon. I think he's still one of the creative directors as well for all of Image. Sorry,
I'm not 100% sure.
I'm putting you on the spot here. I'm just sort of kicking these ideas around. But Image is really great because we always say we love indie books. There's some ones that we're both reading right now that are incredible by them. Department of Truth, which just got picked up for a show and possibly a movie. It can be optioned for a movie if that's what they want to do. But these are all
Scott
independently
Snyder's
owned.
Nocterra, which was financed through Kickstarter and then went to Image Comics. You'll see sometimes creators do transition from Kickstarter to Image Comics. What is different with independent publishers a lot of times, I won't speak for all of them, but I know for Image will publish the book for you and you can use their platform and publishing services, but you do have to come with a completed book. Image doesn't usually say, hey, we'll pay you for an idea. They want to help you put out a finished comic, which again, ties into the creator owned. The creators own the book and are ready to put it out to market. And a lot of other really popular Image books, it's hard to recommend. You can't just say, if you like fantasy, go to Image Comics. It's more specifically, if you like fantasy, there are titles that Image carries that are of that genre, and the same with any genre. It is so varied. But if you're looking to kind of step away from Marvel and DC, Image is a great place to start. And the first volume of most every Image series, it's rare exception if the series was only like a 5-issue series, but if it's an ongoing like Saga, for example, that famous example, the first volume is always priced at $9.99. Subsequent volumes will be about $14.99 or $15.99. All of them have about 5 issues in them, but that $9.99 price is introductory to kind of get you interested. So that is one of my favorite things to do as gifts for people. The Wicked and the Divine Volume 1, Sex Criminals Volume 1, just all of those great series. If you want to just pick up that first volume, it's $9.99. If you didn't like it, no love lost, but it's a great introductory price to getting people into those series. And Image kind of revolutionized the game with the consistent release of trade paperbacks, and I think that they really stepped that up with Saga, but with the do an arc, take a break, publish the trade, take a break, come back with the next arc.
Yeah,
just
they've always
really,
been
really great
good
stuff.
about consistency. That's one thing with Image specifically. And again, a lot of that has to do with some of these creators are on their own individual schedules. But I think with Image too, it's also like, hey, you're also kind of on our schedule. So
Yeah, but because they are also on their own schedules in a degree, that is why some Image comics will have larger delays than others.
Yeah.
The scheduling, it's not as there's some various instances, like one of my favorites, Bitch Planet, unfortunately. Not sure if that one's ever coming back, but it was great, and it had its own release schedule based on when the creative team was available to create.
Oh,
Now,
Will Wright says everyone read Headlopper. Yeah, it's a great book. That's an Image book. I've got the trade here somewhere for it. Sorry, I don't know where it is, but yeah, that's a great book.
and on Image's website, you can check out the free first issues for a bunch of their most famous books, and Alex and Ada and Chew, which is being mentioned by Rob in the comments. Just tons and tons of stuff, which is really cool. Now, the next couple of publishers we're going to mention, and trust us, also, we're not going to be able to cover every single publisher in the world. No. We might just shout some out. But these next ones straddle the line between licensed properties and creator-owned books. We've got IDW, Dark Horse, and Boom. So let's start with IDW. IDW is the place where you're going to find a lot of things like Transformers. I believe you're also going to find My Little Pony. You're also going to find Ninja Turtles. And occasionally they have the license for some Marvel books. They will do, it's more of the young readers, Marvel action stories. Sam Maggs and Sweeney Boo did a fantastic Captain Marvel series, Captain Marvel Cosmic Catastrophe. That one's a lot of puns. If you don't like puns, that's probably not for you. But IDW also does creator-owned books as well.
Yeah, IDW for me has always been like the
and G.I. Joe for IDW.
Yeah, I was gonna say they've always been like the nostalgia champions for comics.
Yes.
Like they really speak to properties that are a lot older, and maybe some of the lore or some of the soft rebooted lore is really sort of changed and brought into these IDW books. Again, that's why we're talking G.I. Joe and we're talking Transformers, these things that, you know, they may exist in one, dare I say, decade, and then they exist in like more modern movies, but IDW builds a great nostalgia bridge, I've always felt like, you know, from different eras. And so, and again, they also do Usagi Yojimbo too. They do like huge books, like Eisner Award winning books. So like they're not small time by any means.
Yeah. Tenchi Misaki says IDW has the rights for all the Hasbro properties. Right. So that will also include, I believe they are the ones who do the Dungeons and Dragons comics. However, Dark Horse handles Critical Role, because Critical Role is technically not Dungeons and Dragons. I know people are going to be like, what? It's not licensed Wizards of the Coast. Critical Role is its own IP.
Yeah.
And so it has to have the distance from the D&D. But if you're going to IDW, you're mostly going to probably look for the nostalgia or the licensed series, and then figure out and discover other independent books. But that's where you're mostly going to go. Now, Dark Horse, as I mentioned, Dark Horse has a lot of the, I don't want to say nostalgia, but I don't know how to quantify it, but like Alien, Predator, Cyberpunk, a lot of the video game, Witcher, lots of different, to like me, cult classics almost.
Yeah, they are cult classics. They do, I mean, a lot of these, you know, a lot of these companies that have these licenses, we could say that they all dabble in nostalgia. Dark Horse, though, is not afraid really to go darker with books, I felt. Like they've taken, I know parts, like they've got like the Hellboy, of course, they've got Hellboy. Hellboy is not like I don't consider it like a PG-13 book. Like there's some serious, you know, adult scenarios and cursing and stuff in these books that are great. But yeah, then they also do like Castlevania. So like they do all manners of things. So they also dabble pretty heavily into video games as well. They've done Mass Effect. They've done Halo comics. I don't think Gears of War was DC, but yeah, they do Vox Machina, right? I'm pretty sure that's them.
And they'll be doing Mighty Nine as well. Nick AJL in the chat says Marvel has Alien and Predator now. You're absolutely right. That's still so recent to me that I forget.
They have Alien and Predator as well. Is a better way to put that. Yeah, not exclusively.
The old Star Wars publisher.
Legends.
As
I think is what that's called. Black Hammer, Avatar. They actually put out some like really great Avatar comics. Again, we used to work in shops, so at points like when and if it was ever slow, I would just do a ton of reading. And I read some of their Avatar books, which are really good. It was something else. But
Yeah.
they do some Castlevania books. One of the books, if I can recommend one book like right now from Dark Horse, it would be Harrow County. That's Cullen Bunn, I believe.
Cullen Bunn.
That's an insane book. That's one of like I think the best looking and one of the best written horror comics in a long time. That's
Cullen
really
Bunn, and
Yeah.
Cullen Bunn is going to be one of the headliners of that Grimm Tales from the Cave
Yes.
anthology with the Grimm's fairy tales retellings from Mad Cave, which is available for pre-order right now. But yeah, Cullen Bunn just does fantastic work. Dark Horse is also responsible for books like The Umbrella Academy. So just lots of the weirder and darker stuff that they really take a chance on now. Boom Studios also I'd say, because like I associate some of these publishers with colors, and like Boom is the lighter, more cotton candy colored side of these properties. They've got the Power Rangers. They've also got Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But funny enough, Dark Horse and IDW both previously published Buffy as well. So that is the hot potato property. But I'd say overwhelming majority of Boom Studios output, however, is creator owned. They also have just obtained Magic the Gathering. So we've got that coming from Boom Studios. But Boom Studios specializes in a wide variety of creator-owned pieces. You'll find lots of, I'd say, kind of more fantasy and supernatural, not as much horror at Boom Studios. However, we do have Something is Killing the Children. But I would say you find a lot more of the supernatural monsters and ghosts with Spectre Inspectors and Proctor Valley Road. And I'm trying to think of, I've been reading Boom Studios for ages, but I'm like trying to think, because they also have Boom Box, which is one of their imprints. That is their younger readers. And then Archaea, which is kind of their more, I don't know if they publish as much under Archaea, but that was a more fantasy and like odd, like experimental line. They also have Kaboom. So there's Boombox, Kaboom, and Archaea underneath the Boom Studios license. Jim Henson stuff goes through Boom.
And they also just recently, I mean, maybe this is your first introduction with comics or first introduction with Boom Studios. You may have heard the name because they are the ones who did that book with Keanu Reeves, Berserker.
So that's right.
They're an interesting publisher because they are very willing to just take chances on stuff like that. I mean, obviously Berserker was huge. I mean, and of course, hey Justin. Hello. And,
thanks for sticking around. We've got, Justin says, Boom is my current favorite with Something is Killing the Children, Seven Secrets, Once in Future. Oh my gosh, Kieran Gillen just teased a little bit of the Dan Mora artwork for the next arc of Once in Future. I'm so excited about that. One of my favorite Boom Studios books, which I feel like not that many people read, but I loved, was Toil and Trouble by Margaret Scott and Kelly and Nicole Matthews. And that was a retelling of Macbeth from the perspective of the witches. Just such a really cool and inventive thing. But yeah, I feel like they do a lot of the fantastical over at Boom Studios.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody everywhere does
the Woods by James Tynion. Yeah, I feel like Tynion really cut his teeth in Boom. Like he really got his foothold of storytelling. Again, I've been reading for a long time, and I feel like he cut his teeth at Boom Studios. And again, I recommend it's not called Ashes to Ashes. It's believe it or not, another Cullen Bunn book, but it's Bone Parish.
Oh, okay.
Bone Parish is a great Boom story, again, by Cullen Bunn and Jonas Scharf. Really, really fun. They just do a ton of books like that. And again, award-winning books like Something is Killing the Children, which is, I mean, we've got a new Something is Killing the Children book / series that we just got during Free Comic Book Day. So yeah, Boom is crushing it.
Chris Hager says, from the witch's POV, weird. I hope this is a pun, because if it's a pun, it's a very good pun. Thank you. It is very weird. It's such a great series. Now up next, we've got kind of a run of independent publishers. I think I also lumped in here on our kind of document here. I lumped Valiant in because I actually Valiant is also one of those ones that straddles. They don't have explicitly creator owned. They have their own shared superhero universe that people plumb the characters from. If you guys played Trivia Cahoots today, Quantum and Woody was one of the answers in the quiz. But they're also responsible, of course, for Bloodshot, Harbinger, Faith. I really liked Ninjak, XO, Man of War. I really loved the Faith series by Jody Hauser. Just a lot of fun stuff going on there. But they also have a shared superhero universe. So if you are interested in discovering new superhero characters who are starting to make their way to the screen, that is where what you can check out at Valiant as well. But then we also had in here, of course, Mad Cave. So you guys got a little bit of a taste of that. But again, highly encourage you. My personal favorite is Show's End, written by Anthony Cleveland with art by Jefferson Sedzinski, excuse me. And that one is about the 1920s in Georgia, and it's about a traveling band of sideshow freaks. Not us, but a sideshow carnival circus, the outcasts, and the kind of monsters that have found a family there. And I just love that book so much. And then Anthony Cleveland also wrote Stargazer for Mad Cave, which is that really cool sci-fi, beautiful sci-fi book we covered previously on the show. But you guys can find horror, fantasy, supernatural, time traveling, werewolves in Woven Heart, just a little bit of everything there. But also, on that note, we also have publishers like Aftershock, Black Mask, and Vault. Now, Vault is another favorite here at the Comics Hall, so you guys will know them by their titles like The Autumnal, Barbaric. We've got a really great graphic here of some of the design work that Tim Daniels has done for the logos. I Walk with Monsters, fantastic book. Finger Guns, one of my personal favorites. Money Shot, one of the ones that I regret not reading. So I'll have to pick that one up and trade. That one is a slightly not safe for work sci-fi sexual liberation story. We've got Bleed Them Dry, The Devil's Red Bride, Heavy. You covered that one as well. Just fun. So much going on at Vault. You're going to want to, that's one of those publishers also you want to stay tuned to their announcements. They are very vocal about their announcements with what's coming up. They just announced Fox and Hare, which is an Asian cyberpunk story about and I say Asian because the representation of the writer and artist, Stacey Lee is the artist, and the writer's name is escaping me right now. They wanted to really refocus the idea of cyberpunk, how we see a lot of kind of Asian style aesthetics, but the characters are never really featured in a great light. They wanted to reclaim that with a story of corporate espionage and a woman who has discovered some clandestine information and has to turn to a pair of deadly mercenaries to keep her safe from the company that wants to take back its tech. Kind of an essential sci-fi or cyberpunk story there. And then Lunar Room, which is Mobsters and Werewolves by Danny Lore and Gio Esposito on the art. And that is about a retired mafia hitwoman who was a werewolf, but she's been cursed and can't transform anymore. And she feels like she's lost a part of herself. So she wants to kind of get back that ability to transform. Again, Barbaric. We've also covered things like Giga, Hollow Heart. So again, you're going to find a lot of genres over at Vault. But I think Vault and Mad Cave right now are definitely the kind of, they're on the newer end of publishers, but extremely like you got to be watching those books. These are the next ones that are going to be getting snapped up for movies and films. And like some of these other books we've mentioned, Vault does have Heathen coming up. That's the Natasha Alterici series, and that's about a disgraced Viking warrior who was cast out of grace, and she's gonna kill Odin herself for get revenge on him. So that one's gonna be a film soon. They just teased the screenplay has been written.
Amy, for Fox and Hare, that is John Sue.
John Sue, thank you.
John Sue is the writer on that book.
Okay, great. Yeah, because I think that was just just today. So like I kind of forgot the news.
Hours ago. Yeah. So
Lunar Room was yesterday. It had time to marinate in my brain. But and those announcements that are getting announced right now, the previews should be available very, very soon to pre-order. But this month we've got Dead Box coming up. Papo Decast says the picture of everything else is a great read as well. Yes, that one is really cool.
Pretty cool, like Dorian Gray type story.
Dorian Gray horror murder mystery type.
That's fun.
Thing. Lots of fun. Now, Aftershock, Paul, you are a pretty big fan of a lot of their stuff. I love
Aftershock.
I haven't read a ton of their stuff recently, but one of my all-time enduring favorites, of course, was Animosity. Animosity.
Yeah, classic. Yeah, they've done. They do a lot of fun books. They specifically like Maniac of New York, The Man Who Effed Up Time. They just do really sort of grounded stories. You aren't going to find many that are sort of cape and cowl type. They do really great horror. They do really great sort of idealized. Like they've done some stories written by actual veterans from the U.S. Navy about their experiences there in training and what that looks like. They've done all kinds of things. So I have a personal love for Aftershock. I'm sure everyone out there has got like their one publisher that they're like, I just read everything. I usually give almost everything by Aftershock a try. I love so much of what they do. They also did, I think, were they Billionaire Island? No, they weren't Billionaire Island, I don't think.
I think that was, no, I might be mixing it up with the spy one. I think that was Dark Horse.
Might have been Dark Horse.
Sorry. Shout out. Will Wright says, in Image is the 6 sidekicks of Buster Keaton. It's awesome so far as well. Mystery with lots of humor and satire. And it is the book on the market currently with the most Paul Hernandez's in it.
Yes. We're coming for you.
Justin Birch says Aftershock is great for readers who might have superhero burnout. I would also say, like, a lot of these independent publishers, when you do see creator-owned places doing superhero stories, it's usually a satire or a different spin or a critique of the genre. Like Mad Cave had Villainous, where it was kind of like a My Hero Academia, where you like go to an academy, or in this case, she was hired by the Hero Association, Reptilia. I love that character name and design, but it's always the idea that maybe the superheroes aren't quite what they seem, or with Vault has the blue flame. It's got some of that pulp element to the superheroes. So apart from Valiant, Marvel, and DC, you don't have a lot of shared superhero universes. So it's very important to pay attention to when the cape and cowl genre does come up, because it's usually a different perspective on it, because none of these other places are trying the big shared superhero universe. But other than that, you'll also, it's very few and far between where you will find stories of superheroes, because there's so many other things. I'm thinking of with Aftershock, like Miskatonic. So you'll have like Cthulhu death cults, and you'll also have like You Are Obsolete. Is that You Are Now Obsolete?
You Are Now Obsolete. Yeah.
Yes, the one where the children make people of a certain age disappear. Wish them away to the cornfield.
I Breathed a Body. That's a really trippy book.
Some of the images
covers, it's like a real body horror book about like the societal pressures of being an influencer. So they do stories like that are very real, and if they are in the future, it's not that distant of a future. So it's almost like a different subgenre of horror that Aftershock does.
A lot of apocalyptic or kind of societal dystopia. I would say comes from Aftershock.
We covered Bunny Mask. That's them as well. I mean all kinds of books. Dead Day, Scout's Honor, those are books that really got up there and went into 3rd or 4th printings. So Aftershock does so many great things. And then again, we like to say we aim books. And one of the things as far as the M goes, you normally know up front with Aftershock if it's going to be like a 4, 5, or 6 issue miniseries. A lot of their books are really smaller runs, so they're not really going to do 20, 30, 40. Now, that's not all of their books, but a majority of their books are really quick miniseries that you can enjoy. And then, like Amy said when we were talking to Chris Sanchez earlier for Mad Cave, it's like you've got to have the gumption to say, like, I'm going to tell this really quick story in 5 or 6 issues, and then I'm done. But that's part of the great. That's one of the great selling points of Aftershock, and some of these other publishers as well. Like they do smaller stories that you can invest a little bit of time in and then move on.
And then similarly, another, I believe they were founded in 2012, but Black Mask, really kind of their style is kind of like I don't want to say experimental, but like almost punk style comics where they just really are really far out there with their ideas. Really unique books that have come from them include Jade Street Protection Services. I really liked Kim and Kim, which was the outer space bounty hunters. That was Magdalene Visaggio and Ava Cabrera. We also have Black and Cal Exit were their free comic book day offering this year. Also The Skeptics, written by Teenie Howard. That was kind of like a Cold War, like mind reading style. We also have, of course, Matthew Rosenberg's 4 Kids Walk into a Bank with art by Tyler Boss. And then I think that was also We Can Never Go Home. Oh, and then Vita Ayala and Emily Pearson's The Wilds, which was a flower zombie book. That was so cool. So for as much as I don't like certain certain body horror freaks me out. I love zombies and I love floral horror. So it was not quite the Last of Us style with like the fungus, but it was like that flowers were erupting from the people and like taking over their brains and stuff. So that was like a really cool, really weird zombie series. I love Vita Ayala's work, and Emily Pearson's artwork was just so beautiful. Those had some really nice covers. But like, yeah, Black Mask is they're not as frequent on the shelves, I think, but they are definitely still there. I mean, putting out stuff for Free Comic Book Day, so.
And they're growing, and you will start seeing them more. I think they just acquired one of their bigger licenses that's not an independent owned, and it's Mr. Robot. So they're going to be doing some Mr. Robot comics,
neat,
which I'm excited for. I love that show. So I mean, it's really cool. I mean, it's interesting, like Amy said. I mean, it's like a sort of like a punk rock type. Like we'll just throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks, and do it our way.
Kind of having that in the way that I think Black Crown, which is no longer publishing, Black Crown and Black Mask came out around the same time, and they were both kind of those like next Vertigo, like next kind of taking those steps that Vertigo did with the really out there type stories. But yeah, definitely a little. If Punk was a publisher, I'd say that one was Black Mask.
Yeah, it's pretty close up there. And then we didn't even talk about like Marvel's got its own imprints. DC has got its of course its Black Label, its new DC
Young Animal.
Horror, Young Animal. There's so much out there. Like again, there's no way at all that we could cover it in an hour if we had the full hour.
There are so many. I mean, ones that we wanted to get to that I don't even think we'll have time. Oni Press, you might have heard of, and they had a merger with Lion Forge. Fantagraphics is definitely one of Fantagraphics and Drawn and Quarterly are two of my favorite, but they are definitely more the fartsy corner of comics. But they also had books for Free Comic Book Day, do great stuff. I believe Drawn and Quarterly was also, they did like Super Mutant Magic Academy by Jillian Tamaki.
Yeah. Ahoy, Upshot.
Ablaze.
Ahoy, Ablaze, AWA, which AWA is the newest of these that I think we've talked about. I think Ahoy did Billionaire Island. I'm pretty sure it was Ahoy. Because I read that book. That was
statistically,
one of the first books we covered on the Comics Hall.
Statistically, if you say that you're pretty sure every publisher did, you're probably going to be right at some point here. But there are so many publishers, and just because they're not one of the big two or like just any of these more recognizable names, that doesn't mean that these books aren't just waiting to be read and loved, and it's all exceptional quality books. A lot of this is how long they've been in the industry, how many eyeballs they've got on them, and with Marvel and DC, it's easier to draw people in by the characters than the stories, more specifically. But with these independent publishers, there's just a wealth of stories. So it's really up to you to discover what you love, and that's why we always say keep an eye on the publishers' social media for their announcements. Also, follow the writers and artists you love across their projects, because like I love Witchblood from Vault with Lisa Sturl and Matthew Ehrman. Matthew Ehrman is also at Boom Studios with Good Luck with Stefano Simeone. And so you just kind of follow people across their different projects, and that's how you really discover what you like the best. There's just so much out there. And hopefully today you guys found a new publisher that you are interested in, or if you're already reading Mad Cave again, just go give them some love on social media. Tell them the Comics Hall sent you. That was so cool of Chris Sanchez to stop by. Again, like editor-in-chief, like wow. So many different hats, and we got to see.
I could barely see him through his diamond headset, you know? It was so nice.
While he's working on 7 different projects right while we're talking. No, it's just it's so cool to get that perspective again for a part of the comic book process that a lot of us may not even realize what goes on. I mean, I couldn't have told you what Chris did as a job. I mean, we know things from the comic book counter perspective, but it's different everywhere you go. And that was just the first interview that we have this week. We don't have another one today, I promise. We're winding down here, but we do have another one on Friday. So we do have, first of all, I think we've got the schedule for tomorrow, because this is the last live stream of the takeover today. But there's still 2 whole other days. Check out that Crimson Chin. Paul, do you want to walk us through a little bit of what's going on tomorrow?
I'm just obsessed with my chin.
It's so chiseled.
I know. Look at me kind of go. So at 9 a.m. we've got our first flash giveaway on our Twitter. You can go to collect Sideshow. That is the main Sideshow Twitter, or Sideshow/Twitter. That'll take you to all of the same place. And then we've got an episode of Win, Lose, or Die by Jasmine Edwards. So come correct, because she likes to rack up the kills.
Now,
there.
is this the new experimental format of Win, Lose, or Die?
I'm thinking so. Alex will let everyone know then or
Okay.
there, but I'm pretty sure it is. We've got a new format where you guys all get to play along at home. This is a brand new story. We tested this out exclusively in the Later Geek Set Show Facebook group last Friday, where you can join, and we do all kinds of stuff like that, where we test stuff before we bring it, to the masses. We test it in there, side.show/geek group. It's a lot of fun.
So everyone has an equal
essentially,
opportunity to get got.
They sure do. You can get got. But if you choose wrong, you're out. You can keep selecting, but you will stay quote unquote dead throughout it. It's fun. And then we've got, and that is with, Jasmine and Alex Ronowitz. And then me and Alex Ronowitz are back at 2 p.m. for an episode of the Cobbled Cosplay Showdown Fan Edition. This is a fun one. This is a really fun prompt that we specifically chose because it's difficult. So that's at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then we've got our final thing of that day, which is tomorrow, the giveaway challenge. Head over to sideshow.live and use the code CHSymbiote. Again, you can go there and you can input that now, but it's not going to do anything.
Gummy Bear Geek says, if it's jazz, I'm dead already. Well, my condolences, sir.
Well,
Storm
that's the
at him.
spirit. That's the spirit. Get it? Because he's a ghost.
Ooh. And then we don't have to pull up the day 5 schedule, but we'll be back with the last of the Comics Hall broadcasts on Friday at 2 p.m. So we'll have another interview there. We'll have some more discussions. We're going to be talking stuff that's been going on in the local Comics Society group as well. You guys have been so amazing sharing your collections and stories this week. If you want to continue the conversation, head on over to side.show/yourLCS. That is your local Comics Society, because whether or not you have a store nearby or you need to order online from Mad Cave's website, we're bringing the comic book discussion to you. We want to hear all about your collections. This week, we've been showing off sketch covers. We've been talking about CGC grading, remarks, lots of other cool stuff going on. And that is one of the first places that Paul and I will share comic book news when we have it. Check your weekly pull lists and everything, because it is Wednesday. So you can always shout out to us in there what you picked up this week. I'm very excited to dive into the Warhammer Sisters of Battle and Eat the Rich from Boom Studios. So that'll be super fun. Once again, we just wanted to give a huge heartfelt thank you to, first of all, Mad Cave for sparing Chris for a little bit of time, but Chris Sanchez for giving an incredible interview, just sharing all that really fun, awesome stuff. And I really hope you guys discover a new series that you love. Please. If you do, shout it out. Again, join us in the local Comics Society. And then you can always find us on social media at The Comics Hall. And that's on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Now, we do want to warn you before we go. There is a fake Instagram account floating around. We've made it. We've got the Mirrorverse, or the Reverse Flash version of the Comics Hall. They've got some underscores in their names. That's absolutely not us. We're not private. We don't DM you asking for information. So don't. If they tell you that you've won something from this week, that's probably a scam. We have. I think we email. We do proper emails, right?
Hey, Amy, guess what?
What?
Account's already gone. You guys did it already.
Oh my goodness!
Already did it. Instagram already got rid of the scam account. So
excellent. Well,
thank you guys all so much.
Keep an eye out. Thanks for helping us report that, because that was cropping up today before our show, and that was not cool. So.
Yeah, not cool at all. And again, before you guys give any information like that at all, just feel free to reach out, do some prodding. Again, I'm always available in the Let Your Geek Set Show Facebook group or the Comic Society. Amy is as well. Sometimes we try. Amy's very busy. So,
I will. I'm pretty busy, but I can always refer you to an experienced moderator. But we will never DM you asking for personal information. If it's a contest that you don't remember entering, then it probably isn't real either. But just keep an eye out for those things. But hopefully our evil twin doesn't come back, because there's a whole multiverse out there, and there's
it is.
Evil things running around. But anyways, appreciate you guys helping us report that. So that excellent. Thanks, that problem takes care of itself.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we hope you guys are enjoying the least hostile takeover in the universe. Nothing but love, nothing but comics and fun. We will see you guys on Friday, but we're going to be back here tomorrow for lots and lots of fun. Thank you guys so much for joining us. As always, I'm Amy.
And I'm Paul.
And this has been The Comics Hall. We'll see you guys next time.
Boom. Outro pointing.